This is episode 203. Oh, I forgot it. Slash tone control, no the.
Brought to you by a clean tone that is as heavy as the Rolling Stones ever got. It's the tone control.
It's the new world. Welcome to today is the day. It's the tone control. It's Thursday.
Yes.
It's yet again. It's another. It's your boys here on the Thursdays for the tones and the controls.
It's your boys with a Thursday.
Look what I've got.
Hey.
Ding.
Oh, I don't have one. Hang on. Oh, I got a pick right here. I got my tone control merch represent is in form of guitar pick.
Cool. So since the care package arrived to me, mine's much bigger than all the patrons, by the way. Just thought I'd rub that in your face.
Yeah, you suckers don't have 25 koozies, do you?
You bunch of dummies. I bet you wish you had 25 of them. Anyway, I thought I should show it off. Anyway, so it's a tone control. We've got a news-free episode. And
yeah, pretty much.
Why not? So we're gonna wing it. There's a topic suggestion. We got some random stuff going on. So what's up? What's new, man? What?
Gosh, I got my booster.
Yes.
On Monday, that was the big thing this week. Felt pretty crummy halfway through Tuesday. But I was able to shake it off. Wednesday night, it kind of all came back, which was weird. I was doing pretty good, and it kind of came back around. Feeling a lot better today, though. Mm-hmm. Get boosted. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, not a big deal. Mine was. I think I felt pretty the same. I guess it's so different for different people. You never know, right? But I felt pretty the same from when I first had sort of a reaction to the booster, where I was like, real slow, and I kind of thought, geez, I sort of feel crummy. And then at some point I felt like in the afternoon, like the girls were coming home, I was like, I sat on the couch and I nearly fell asleep, which I never nap. I'm just not a napping person. And I was like, whoa. And then the next day I was like, oh, holy shit, I was so tired yesterday. I was like so messed up. But it was that like, it's so like, dull, just a dull roar that I didn't really pick up on.
Yeah, it was at any point I felt like if I really needed to like snap to and really do something, I totally could have. Sure. But I was just like, I'm just gonna embrace this like semi-rundown kind of feel, and it was fine. Yeah, that was the thing. I finished my grad term, and that's been really, chewing on my brainstem a lot, which is why there's not a lot of stuff in the show this week. I had to write a whole bunch of paper.
A whole bunch of paper.
I had to write a whole bunch of paper, and it just took a lot of my brain power and time. So, what else? We're totally closing in on that time of year at work where it's like, let's connect after the holidays, which is kind of the best time. I'm taking off the week between Christmas and New Year's, and because of like observed holiday days with work, I get a bunch of extra days off without having to like pay for them, without having to use PTO. Yeah. So it's great. I'm planning on, and I'm also still in between grad terms that time, so I don't have anywhere to be. I don't have anything to do. I've my no commitments, no school, no work. Yeah. Beth has to work, so I'm in like full bachelor mode for like 10 straight days. For 5 days because
burritos.
Because of 5 days because Beth will be home, obviously. But like I have a bunch of days off work because
she
of
comes
weekends.
Home from work?
Like, yes.
Man.
It's nice.
Sounds fantastic.
Sort of podcast related. I'm planning, hoping to like make some videos for the channel. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. I was going to do a rundown of my in-ears setup with the Helix that I was using in Delaney. I wanted to do a lot of people ask me about the HX Stomp setup because they see it with all the other pedals. And I always explain the effects loop scenario.
Yeah.
So I was going to make a video for that.
Do an actual, take it through it.
Actual explainer. Yeah. And then also probably a video with the Revv, which is right here on my desk.
Cool.
Yeah. And probably not going to put all those out inside of a week, but I'll shoot them all probably and then trickle them out as we make some content. So yeah, it's fun. I used to make a lot of videos and I don't anymore because of school. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What else?
Sweet.
I think that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I have been doing much of the same as before. It's been chill. I keep looking at the calendar like it's going to be that time where and it's like make or break now with work. I do have kind of like one project on the horizon where it's like, if you want that date, you better grab it because we're going to have like a freeze on this sort of thing. And it's, actually I will tell this story. Okay. So this is one thing that did happen to me. So I met with this new client and for mixing, and I was a bit, expensive for what she wanted to be paying. Right.
Okay.
So, and I mean, I know that this must seem really self-serving. For me, I'm always advising people, like if you have a budget, I'm not going to try to talk you out of your budget. I will try to talk you out of doing more songs because I think if you have 3 songs that sound fantastic, that's 100 times better than having 6 songs that sound okay or crummy or and if somebody listens to it and goes, holy shit, the thing where if you're showing something to somebody who's not a musician or whatever and it's like, oh my god, this sounds like a record I would actually, what I mean?
Yeah, this sounds professional.
They're surprised by that, right? Because it's sort of a different world for them. They don't know anybody who's making the records that they listen to all the time, records. So anyway, I'm kind of doing that advice anyway. I'm not sure how, I'm not going to force the issue. I'm not sure how much of it she's tuned into or whether I sound like a jerk, but I kind of say it like, I know what this must sound like, but this is what I say. But anyway, it's pretty simple stuff. She's got these songs that are literally she's 2 mic voice and guitar into GarageBand with a 57 and a 58. And it's kind of, it's just there. It's present in the room. There's plenty of bleed, all this stuff. And it's like, what can we do with this? And I'm thinking, well, actually, I can do something pretty cool. And I'm going to circle back to this a little bit at the end for suggestion of the week too.
Okay.
So I clean it up. I kind of get things sounding, I think, awesome. I think it sounds fantastic. From not that it was a badly performed starting point, but 57, 58 with bleed, this sort of thing.
And she recorded it?
Yeah.
Did it all herself?
She sent me her GarageBand file, and I just extracted the stuff out of it, right? And I make this thing that I think it sounds awesome. I used some special magic that I will tell you about later that I'm super impressed by. And I'm sure it doesn't, to somebody who didn't know what my process was on that, it was like, oh, cool, yeah, I can see that sounds better. And that was sort of her reaction, right? It was like, and I put a little sparkle in there of something, I added a little bit of something that I programmed in, some extra sound in the chorus from this this virtual instrument that I have that I thought of. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I was like, this sounds awesome, for such a cleanup from what it was. And she was yeah, I'm satisfied with this.
Neutral?
Yeah,
just kind of
she had a
this
very
is
flat
acceptable
tone with it. This is acceptable. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm really testing myself on this thing where I try not to have an ego.
Because here you are coming in a little expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Well, and she's probably thinking this, is it going to fundamentally change how it's how it's going to sound? It's easy to get wrapped up in that. It's going to sound like this amazing new performance.
I really want to blow her away, and I want that to be
prove.
I want that to be everyone's reaction, but I really wanted it to be her reaction. And she's like, yep, I'm satisfied with this.
Well done.
And
okay.
yeah, and she kind of says, I wonder if there could just be like something else in there that sort of like fills out the most, builds throughout the song, like more than just in the little thing you did in the choruses. And
like more instrumentation?
Yeah, and because we had discussed that a little bit too. Like it's very simple, but adding in something that isn't going to step on it or make it seem phony or out of place, like something that's going to fit, which is what I was trying to do with the first little bit. So I was like, okay, let me tuck back into this. Okay, take that note. And I'm trying not to have this ego, right? Because it's like, if I think what I've done is great and somebody doesn't feel that way about it, I need to swallow that. Like I'm not trying, hey, wait a second. Don't you think this is awesome? I think this is great.
Let me explain to you why this is awesome.
Let me explain to you why you're wrong. You know what I mean? So, so I was like, okay, let's do the thing you always say you're going to do. So I go back in and I spent kind of a long time just searching through patches in these VIs, like to find something that I felt worked without getting in the way, something that fit with the sound of, imagine somebody in their living room with 2 dynamic mics in GarageBand.
Yeah, very
you know what I mean?
Intimate, but also like, kind of unpolished. Is that maybe not what I want to say, but just raw.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to fit a synth in there. Okay, essentially some kind of synthesized sound with movement and with some organic kind of feel to it. And I found this thing and I layered a few things together and I kind of created something and then did some tracing of kind of throughout the song. I'm following a bit of the fundamental, stepping off of it here and there where I think it's cool. And it ebbs and flows a little bit volume-wise too, so that you almost have to listen for it to see that it's there. It's always there. It never goes away, but sometimes it's a little more behind the louder parts of the voice. Anyway, it was even better. I was like, okay, I thought the first thing was cool. This really kind of, even though it's a subtle addition, it fills out a lot. And that one she's totally thrilled with. She's like,
oh, good.
Oh, she's hopping about it and she's excited. And so that was it. Like, so I did the thing that I ought to have done. Every time I talk about this and say like, I'm not, tell me what you really think. And I need to take the notes, because I work for you.
Right. Yeah. But also like, there's that delicate balance of like, I work for you, but if you want it to sound different, hire someone else.
Yeah. To a certain extent. Yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
I do try to not, I do try to like absorb what they're going for. But where I draw the line as far as like my sound, I'm sure I have a sound. And it's hard for you to self-identify that. Like so maybe someday if I stay alive and working, somebody will be like, oh, that's the Justin sound. Yeah, like it's this, and I'll be like, oh, that's my sound. But like I draw the line at like stuff being out of tune and out of time. But you know what I mean? But other than that, and that's just like kind of a modern music thing. You just can't do that anymore. It's not, the Rolling Stones don't cut it anymore.
Totally agreed.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
But other than that, like I talked to another band who will be doing something in the spring, I think. And their focus is very like live off the floor kind of sound. Not to the extent where we're going to leave out of time, out of tune mistakes in it, but guitar squeaks.
Let it be a little loose on the edges.
Chair creaks, breathing, stuff like that.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Exactly. So on board with all that. Yeah.
Cool. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In your music line of work, which is, as to say, not podcasts and audiobooks and things, how much composition are you doing these days? Like sounds like a case of you wrote a thing for this song.
Yeah, I did. Not much. That doesn't often happen. But it was something that she wanted for this. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's not like a huge deal. Like I've done it a couple of times for people and they've been like, oh, you need a writing credit on this. And I'm like one guy said, one client, he was working on a guitar solo and I like coached him like, hey, maybe try this thing. Try to simplify that. Let's just hang on that note for a second, let it linger, and then move on to the next part. It was like that kind of note.
That's like producer stuff.
Yeah, but he was like, oh, you need I mean, well, that's what he's saying. You're a producer on this now. Like, you need a writing. I was like, no, that's not, I mean, whatever. Write what you want on your jacket or whatever, but that's not what I think I deserve. But anyway, so.
That's cool. When we were doing our EP at the studio in Manchester, Matt Blanchett, who runs Revelry Studios, he's like listening to the demos. We're doing takes and stuff. He's like, it'd be great is if you just went like, and like do this part. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're right. That would be great. And he just so effortlessly, because it's new to so many, like when you bring something to the studio, it's new to that person a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And like for him, he had not heard. Yeah, he was like, "This is great," and I'm hearing this, and you're like, "Oh, never thought of that. Love it. Let's do it."
Right. Because you're focused, right? You've been hearing your thing for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have that perspective on like, on what is this doing for the song, right? Not just my part, not just the tone, the guitar tone or whatever. It's like the what would really make this thing stand out, and fresh ears are the best thing. Fresh experienced ears are the best thing for that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's funny. I was just here. This is turning into quite a thing. But I was just hearing this discussion on another podcast, the Pro Tools Expert podcast. They were talking about like, they've been having these sort of the episodes that are a discussion piece about this topic or something, and they're really varied. But one of them was something to do with anyway. So what came up in the discussion was about your roles, like people's roles, and these guys are pretty famous producers. They've worked with, one of the guys on that episode was Tony Iommi's essentially producer, like for a long time. So anyway. It's like, from when they were coming up to like they teach students now and what's going on. And it's always like, what are people's roles? And it's like this guy, that was within his job description to say, oh, and do this. And the other side of the story is these terror tales of like, and then there was the intern or the guy who's running tea, as they say in England. And, the situation can go a different way. Like you have an artist in the studio and they're sometimes needing emotional support, not like they're going to cry or something, but they need to be sort of helped. They need some validation. Yeah.
Confidence.
You need to have like, you're performing this part, and especially if it's not easy, to have somebody, to have a supportive room, to be giving you the notes in a way that are going to help, like somebody who's connected with you.
Feedback,
they know how you're going to feel, and so they're reacting to you that way and giving you like what's going to be helpful. Hey man, like that sucked in a supportive way, or something like that. So anyway, so you know, the idea being like you get all the way through, maybe you're about done for the day kind of thing, and somebody whose place it is not says, hey, what about, or what sticks out to me is this, and it can just suck all the air out of the room so fast. So it's like, that's a tricky place. And I'm glad you have a good experience. I'm glad you have a good story about, and then he said this and we were all like, yeah.
Well, it's the tone, right? It's the mood in the room. He's like into this, he's hearing the demo. He's like, oh, this is cool. I'm really into this. Haven't heard this one. Like, I love this part. Oh, you should do it. Like, it's part of that whole like excitement building portion. But yeah, when we're doing the doing guitars and stuff, Matt would, we were there both at the same time. Matt was like kind of observing and like offering producer notes on my parts, and I was doing it for his parts because the other one is focused on the playing.
Yes.
So he's like, oh, you're rushing this bar a little bit. Watch out for that. Or even less like, oh, just give it, like start that vibrato later, like that kind of stuff. And with Matt, I would constantly say like, that's not the one. Like you can do it better. Do it better.
Needs more down pick.
Yeah, just like play it right. And not in like an asshole kind of way, but just this good. Like, yeah, like that was cool, but you can do it better. Like do it better. Just like be better. and like Matt's a good musician. Matt's a good musician and stuff, but it was like, no, you're not playing it with balls. You got to play it with some balls, right? Do it. Go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
We'll do it again. Big whoop.
Worst that's going to happen, this will come out as bad as the last one, which was garbage, by the way, in case you've forgotten.
Right. This one's still shit, by the way.
Still garbage. All right. Fun story time. Here's Pedal Genie still sponsoring this podcast somehow.
Thanks to Pedal Genie for sponsoring the tone control. Visit pedalgenie.com and start your wish list today.
Well, I said, there's always this possibility that like that thing where they sent me 2 pedals was going to be like a going away present or something, and I was just never going to get something. I do think I have something in the mail. I don't know what it is, but it's not here.
You notified them of that, and they're like, "Oh, there was a glitch in the payroll." Like it's that Office Space joke.
Right.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch. They just stopped sending pedals.
I did not tell them. Do you think I should have told them about it? I just sent them both back.
Oh, I don't know. They'll figure it out. They're smart.
I was sort of
like, that's a weird thing.
I mean, right. They're not right. This can't continue. But on the other hand, I was like, I'm not going to say anything because, like, obviously, like, it's not a problem. I just sent them back.
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
And then I thought, what if one of them's going to get there and they're going to be like, cool, and they're going to box up the next thing on my list and send it. And then the next one gets there and it's a different person that
they
day
just
or
keep
something.
sending you.
And they just keep
two pedals at a time.
Now I'm on a non-existent 2 pedals at a time plan forever.
Yeah.
It's but so far I only have one return email coming back to me. So I think
That's
they
really
fixed
funny.
it. I think they fixed it.
Yeah, I sent the Riverside back. I'm like, whatever comes next. Today's the 9th, so whatever comes next, we'll probably keep through the holiday break. I'm thinking
Sure.
do some fun stuff. I don't even know what it is yet, but we'll do some fun stuff.
I haven't opened my email either. So speaking of the Revv, so
my cool office library collection there, containing books about knowledge management and Star Wars.
Isn't Star Wars about knowledge management?
That is a connection I will make someday, but today is not that day.
Okay. Anyway. So lots of fun with the Revv. So I did not get to watch your demo recording.
Okay.
Stream.
That's fine.
Because
I don't expect you to watch
I'm a bummer. Well, I don't know. I tried to, but anyway, I just remembered I changed my name to Santa Hat Justin in Discord. I was just now noticing that. That's the much Christmas cheer you get out of me.
That's okay. I just put a Santa hat sticker on everything that I walk into, so it's fine.
Just bumping into stuff and stickers are falling out of
sticker,
you.
Yeah.
Sticker you.
Anyway, I'm really still loving the Revv, and I am so thrilled with how the Riverside demo went. I love what I did for it. It's one of my favorites. It's up there with the 1981.
Yeah.
And I think the tone is great. I think it's an awesome pedal. I love how much I love it, you know?
Yeah.
And the Revv workflow here was great. It was a lot of fun to like get in with the virtual cabinets. I didn't really change anything off the stock stuff, but it sounded awesome. So like, why change it? I eventually get into messing with all the two-note stuff and maybe loading in the other IRs that I own and using like the power amp emulation and stuff like that. But I think this sounds really good. I'm really pleased with how it's going. So I have a pedal here that's also gold and also hooked up to my Revv right now, but it is not the Riverside. I bought the G2 from Revv.
Oh,
which is a pedal.
Now I need a picture of that. Revv G2.
Yeah.
Go on.
It comes in a couple colors. There's a green
G20,
one.
Stupid Google.
Fucking G20. That's a guitar amp, you dingus.
Christ.
So the G2. So actually, let me back up. The D20 and the G20 are these lunchbox size amps. I have the D20.
Yeah.
That are based on the Generator series from Revv, which is a 4-channel 100 watt amp. Really just like mega big boy amp. There you go. And so what they did was the D20 is basically the clean channel from the Generator.
Sure. Okay.
With a boost. And then what they did was they took the other channels and broke them out into pedals. So they've got the G2, the G3, and the G4, and they are just increasing levels of gain.
Okay.
So it's cool. I'm gonna turn some things on here. I have I got the G2 because I was like looking at the G3 and like the G4 is very high gain, but it's super tight and modern and sounds awesome. But I'm like, it's not really my style. Yeah. And the G3 is also very modern and stuff. But the G2 here, I'm really glad I got it because it can get into some nice high gain stuff, but it is still an overdrive. It's not a distortion pedal. It's not like so it's
on the lower half of the G series.
Right. Right. So it's based on, I think, the green channel of the Generator.
It's green.
It's
this
green.
One's green.
Mine is gold. There's some special edition. I got it on Reverb for a really good deal.
They just heard it was Derek from the Tone Control.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
I should change my Reverb name to say
the
that.
gold
Oh my
one.
God.
Do it right now.
I got it used.
While we're watching.
I got it used. And so it's got volume, gain, a 3-band EQ, and then the middle switch is for the aggression modes, which reshape the gain structure and the EQ curve a little bit. So there's a blue and a red. Each channel on the generator has a blue or red aggression mode and off as well. So 3 aggression options. And the whole thing about them is
not aggressive at all.
Not aggressive at all.
Unaggressive.
The G series pedals, I've read and heard and been told, pair wonderfully with the D series amps, like the 20 series amps, the G20 and the D20. So, because you're basically putting the channel back into the amp. So anyway, I have it here. Okay, this is my clean tone.
Wait, that's a clean tone? Sorry.
Yeah, you want me to dial?
No, that's fine.
I'll take it down.
Do whatever you want to do, man. It just rolled right past me, and then I had to go back
really
and catch
bad.
it. He just said that was his clean tone.
Okay, and that's a 412
I'm just saying,
IR.
like, your clean tone is as heavy as the Rolling Stones ever got. Ever. Worse even. That's like your clean tone is like Angus Young. Nearly.
Stones ever got. Okay. Yeah, I know. I run my clean tones pretty crispy, but I'm hitting it hard.
Oh yeah, hit it softly. Oh, so you're lying. Really?
I can coil. Well, I coil split this.
Oh, you cheater.
So like neck pickup in humbucker mode.
Oh, okay. So you really do have a lot of dynamics in there.
Yeah. So this is bridge pickup. It's certainly crispy, but
that has a really
my main
wide
sort
range. Yeah.
And the boost is engaged on the amp, but the drive is pretty low. It's around 9 o'clock or so. Anyway, this is the G2. Aggression mode is set to off. It sounds great.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I plugged it in. I was like, well, fuck, this sounds so good. And actually, the demo for the Riverside was written when I got this pedal, like the G2. I was riffing around with it. I was like, oh, this sounds so good. Oh, what's this thing I just stumbled on? Oh, I love this. And I was like, I got to use this for a demo. So I'll switch to so my gain controls at like 1 o'clock here. Sounds cool, man.
Yeah. Awesome.
Blue aggression mode.
That almost seems more clinical. It's I don't know what to say about it. It's like tell me if you're hearing this, but it's almost like there's some like pre-contouring to the low end a little bit that almost reduces the gain slightly, but makes it very precise.
Yeah, so here's it back in the off position. And then to the blue mode.
Yeah, it's
like a tighter low end,
almost
but
a funny
it's
kind of
fatter
scoop.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost.
And then so the red mode is the highest gain option. And all the knobs are staying the same during this, and then you get used to the red a little bit.
It's like a mid push.
Off.
It's like almost the opposite, right?
This is the off position again. So if we go into the red mode, or either of the aggressions really, and bump up the gain, the thing I like about the pedal is the gain knob is very usable in the high range. Mm-hmm. Most overdrives and distortions, when you're pushing the limit of the gain control of the drive, it can become unusable up in that upper tier, right? This one stays pretty nice. Change my EQ a little bit. is the gain all the way up. Heavy as the pedal gets.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. I like it a lot.
That's really giving them a chance to segment, right? To have G1 through 4 so that they don't have to make the knobs range too far, right?
Yeah, and the voicing of the specific channel that it's inspired by is a little bit different as well. So like, yes, there is like gain territory overlap on the 2, 3, and 4.
But it's like by the time you get into that other territory, you want to have pre-contoured in this other way. And so that's why we've moved to a different pedal where we're doing that. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think this is awesome. Revv also makes a gate pedal now that is called the G8. Get it?
Oh my God. So my daughter told me a joke today. She's getting ready for bed and this is related. And she says, this is so great when a 6-year-old wants it. So she says, Daddy, how do you spell candy with only 2 letters?
Oh.
Is he going to get it?
Is there an ampersand involved?
No.
Oh.
She doesn't know about ampersand. She's 6.
Okay. She's 6.
Derek, she's 6.
I'm going to write that down too.
C and Y.
C. Oh. Jesus.
Fucking nailed it. Love that.
Very good.
Spelling
Very good.
Joke. Great job, Aria. Okay, anyway, sorry. What was up? They have a
I
gate.
don't know. That's it. It's
the G8 gate.
Yeah, they have a gate.
That's what it is.
The gate. Here it is. Here's the Revv. It's rad.
Yeah.
It's a cool enclosure. It is a clicky switch, but it sounds like a relay. Like it does that quick swell in when you click it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what that's about, but I like this pedal a lot. I'm gonna start using it on my main board here. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Got it kind of at the same time. So here's, let me tell you a little story about how I got this and a pickup that I bought that arrived today as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had a big gear year.
Get your shopping done.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to me. But so Reverb allows, as the seller, you to choose if your listing will be open to offers or if it is just, here's the price.
Right.
It costs this much. I think most things by default are set to accept offers.
Okay.
Just start throwing offers out, right? Start lowballing, you know? I'm in a Helix group on Facebook and somebody posted like, oh my God, like my Helix is coming today. I'm so excited. Never used one. Like I got it for like $700, he says. And that's an insanely low price for a Helix.
Like half,
it's like half. Yeah. Less than half. And everybody was like, wait a minute. Like screw every tip or detail about Helix. How did you find one for $700?
Yeah.
And he's
you
like,
give to the community first before we give back to you.
And the guy's like, oh, just start lowballing on Reverb. Sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes somebody really just wants to get rid of it. Huh.
This is a revolutionary way of thinking for me. So I was always like, oh, I don't want to, if I am throwing an offer out there, I want it to be reasonable, acceptable, right? Appropriate, not insulting. But then I was like, I don't know this person. I'm never going to see them again in my life. So if I lowball, it takes one click for them to say no thanks or to counter offer.
Right. And then you can see maybe you'll land somewhere. Maybe they just tell you to fuck off. Right.
So the Revv G2 retails for $229. I got it for $150.
There you go. And it's
I'm sorry, I got $130 or sorry, $135 plus shipping.
Well, because you said it, but it was used though, right? So like retail.
It was used, yeah. But it came mint condition. All the stickers still in the box, the original box. Mm-hmm. Everything, no Velcro on the back, nothing. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, yeah, if you're thinking about like you want to see if you can get a good deal, don't sweat it. Just try. And
I think that's what goes on like eBay and stuff too. I haven't been sort of in the eBay scene for quite a while, but I did do one thing on it somewhat recently, and it was like that. It was like I got a few offers that were like half of what I was expecting the auction to land at. And I was like, you can't be serious. Like, look at the sold listings. Like, this is the range that was. And the people were universally, they were like, hey, no offense, just like occasionally
Yeah,
this
just try 'em.
happens. Like look, and then one guy even said back to me like, yeah, I see those. Look further down the page though, because just yesterday between all the ones where they're going for this, here's one that went out for half that. Same product. So it's like, oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
yeah, and it's totally like I don't mean any offense by this.
Yeah.
And I just have to like get over that kind of thing because we're just strangers on Reverb, right? It's not like this guy's going to look up me.
Well, until you change your
be
name
like,
to Derek from the Tone Control.
at the Tone Control, right? But yeah, it's worked out really well. And I bought a Porter wide range humbucker for my black telly, my 72 reissue.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, because the neck pickup in that thing from Fender is garbage. Like the Fender
Pure
pickups in that thing,
garbage.
they're just not great. So I was looking around. Wide range pickups tend to be pretty expensive in the world of humbuckers.
Okay.
Just because they're a different shape. It's a not standard enclosure. It's a whole thing. Like, so I was looking at like I wanted new pickups for the guitar. I think I've talked about this a long time ago. Wanted new pickups for the guitar, but the neck pickup, this wide range, is pick guard mounted. So you can't put a regular humbucker in there because it's a 4-screw mount. There's like 2 on each side. And it's literally
springs
large.
go the other way and
yeah, and it's bigger. Like so
Okay.
if you drilled other holes, it would be swimming in this cavity. So so I'm looking at wide range pickups, and then sometimes they're like over $200 for one pickup and into like the 235 kind of area. I was like, oh God, okay. So what if I put in a regular humbucker that I need to buy a new pick guard? And guess what? Those two things together, we're talking about the same price.
So what if you just go onto Reverb and offer everybody half of their asking price until somebody says yes?
Yeah. So not many wide range pickups for sale on Reverb.
Yeah.
Found a Porter one that was used. I had a guitar with Porter pickups a long time ago. Really liked them. Got it for $80.
Nice.
Super nice. It's a $150 pickup or something like that, which is already pretty low for a wide range.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was like, yeah, I had it in a Tele Deluxe and I'm selling the guitar stock and one of these pickups was in it. So he's putting the pickup up for sale. So that came today. Are those sort of an impulse buy?
Yeah, you get something, you find the right situation. Yeah.
Also like the affirm pricing and stuff with Reverb. I affirmed this Revv pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, $40 a month or something like
that's
that.
like it's like a third party.
Yeah, I've bought a lot of gear
payment
with
plan.
it actually. It's low or no interest, and you can choose 3, 6, or 12 months.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And
you think they're
it's great.
taking over the whole what's that bank that was always doing these, like every store card was through this bank.
Oh yeah.
And they would always, that's what they were selling is like, over 600 is 12 months, no interest or something.
Yeah, they just, when you check out.
Synchrony.
Something
I think
like
that's
that.
what it was. Anyway.
But what's funny
I
is
had
like.
a bunch of them. I had like one for a computer store, and that's what Sam Ash would do. The Sam Ash card was through them. Anyway.
I haven't actually paid for this Revv pedal yet. Like you don't pay anything when you make the transaction. It's a month later.
It makes it feel like you're inventing money.
It makes it feel so easy to buy gear too, which we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Do you think we come off as insensitive to people who have like bad credit?
Well, so Affirm is no credit check either.
No shit, really? That's very interesting.
Which is why
how do you think they pull that off?
I don't know. I think they just sort of do a soft check because I never get a report. I have like an automated thing that tells me if my credit's been checked, and Affirm never triggers it.
Because essentially you're signing up for something every time you make the purchase, because it's not like you get the card and then have it. Yeah. Huh.
Right. And I bought my Les Paul with it. I financed half of it. I bought the Mythos delay pedal I have, this Revv pedal.
Huh. That's pretty cool. So I mean, just not to speculate about finance companies or something, but like I wonder if that's they're running into less risk because it's a single transaction instead of giving somebody a card that has this deal on it, and then how many times are they going to go back and put another $600,000
on it?
On
it's per item.
Yeah, and so they're like the amount of defaults, like, although so they could just go and get another Affirm deal. But anyway, that's interesting.
Maybe it's tied to your phone number. So if you because they text you, it's like a 2-factor. They text you a code and then they give you the rates.
Okay. Do you think? Okay. Now a phone does a credit check on you.
Yes, but it's not like a credit check that's going to affect your score, is what I mean.
But I mean, to have a phone, you've done a credit check already. And I wonder if they feel like they're piggybacking on that, right? Like they get somebody a phone, although you can get prepay phones that probably work with it too, because it's just a text code.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm so into it right now for some reason.
I'm just saying, like, don't sleep on a firm, because like I'm only paying $2 in interest on this pedal over the course of like 3 months or whatever I chose to finance it for.
Wow.
It's an awesome deal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Not predatory. Pretty good. Pretty good.
And I think it depends on the merchant and the value of the item and stuff, or the cost of the item. But I had no interest when I did my Les Paul, which was amazing. Oh, no interest for 12 months. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Good deal. So,
all right. So, do we want to jump into this review the pedal demo from the live stream?
Sure.
Okay. Now this is Pedal Genie, so why don't we go ahead and talk about and let's thank the genie. Let's do this.
Pedal Genie is like the Netflix of guitar pedals. Rent any pedal you want for as long as you want for one low monthly price. Shipping is included and there are no late fees or time limits. With over 1,500 pedals to try from nearly 100 different manufacturers, Pedal Genie definitely has the gear you want to try. Subscriptions start with Flex at just $19.95 a month. Try out one pedal at a time for as long as you want. Send it back when you're ready for the next one. For only $39.95 a month, the standard subscription includes shipping, so you could have a different pedal every few days. If one isn't enough for you, Pedal Genie Pro gets you 3 pedals at a time for only $64.95 a month. Shipping included. There's a subscription for everyone, and best of all, your first month is free. If you find the pedal of your dreams, the one you just have to keep, Pedal Genie will offer you a buyout option. Prices vary with the length of your membership and the type of pedal, but you'll definitely get an awesome price for the pedal in your hand. So head to pedalgenie.com to fill up your wish list with pedals, and they'll send out your first pedal ASAP. Pedal Genie. All your pedal wishes granted.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. It looks like Grand Theft Auto. I don't know what's happening. Oh my God. We're going with sharks now in the chat, everybody.
We're doing sharks now. I think we've outgrown butts. Maybe our next koozie will say butts. Actually, we thought about, but I don't know. But we tell the story. Have we told the story of the koozies? The great koozie design discussion
about what to put on the koozie.
Yeah.
We haven't told the story, no, but it was a debate. You know,
it was
what
a
goes
debate
on
because
there.
we wanted something. So on the bottom here, can I? Ding.
It's upside down.
Is it? No, it's not.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Oh my God, it is. Sorry. I'm trying to look. My feed is mirrored, and there we go. So I need to see it mirrored for it to be right, and upside down, it looked less wrong to me. Anyway, yeah, we went back and forth on a lot of stuff. Ultimately, Derek was right. We had to go with Ding. I wanted to put some other esoteric shit on there, but nobody would get the joke unless you've been listening to the show for years and years. And anyway, it's because we don't keep our stuff going. You know what I mean?
You know what we haven't done in a while? I have thought about this. We haven't done reviews in a while, and I keep meaning to find some. It is in the back of my mind.
They're hard to find.
Yeah,
the juicy ones. We've had some gems though.
I love that it doesn't turn off.
That was just so good. Okay, so you did a live stream.
Yeah,
and
it's up on the channel.
That's reviewable on YouTube if you want to see it. Of making the Strymon Riverside demo, and then you send the tracks over to me to mix. Now this always happens in the background, and then today I was thinking, well, Derek prompted me, right? He was like, when you do this mix, let me know how it is. Let me know if anything's weird, because you were using the Revv now instead, the Revv amp instead of all Helix, and so something might be different. And I was like. Yeah. Shut up! Everything's gonna be fine.
I don't know a ton about this stuff, but like, I just want to make sure that like I'm not making it more difficult for Justin, or it's something's like incredibly wrong about what I've done.
Well, I was like, shut up! You've been making music for a while. Like, you're not gonna accidentally create guitar tracks that are fucking bonkers. Like, you know what things are supposed to sound like, and that's the thing about like recording. Once you've like done it for a bit, like you get how something's supposed to sound. The hard part is if you just listen to finished records and then you sit down to record a guitar, you might make your guitar have way
close.
too much bass and shit like that because you're used, you know. So anyway, so the tracks are fine. But anyway, so I had this idea that why don't I record doing the mix? So I had some time this afternoon, and I just was like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this now. So I sort of rushed it a little bit and set up a screen real quick and did a recording. So that's going up on the channel for patrons. We are going to make that a patron benefit, and I hope that people like it. Let me know what you think. I sort of pinged everybody about this today. Hey, would you think this was cool? I got a couple of yeses. So hopefully it's cool. I will tell you it is a lot longer than I was expecting it to be. Typically when I do these things, I'm in and out in like 15 minutes and I get
I was going to ask you, like, it's closing in on an hour. And I was like, oh my God, have I been taking an hour of Justin's Week every 2 weeks? And
no, I got to the end and I think I remarked about how long it took me to record. And it's because I was explaining stuff and I also started from scratch. Because for one thing, you had a new setup and I thought, why not? And because I'm doing an explain thing, why don't I have a template and I just like drag your stuff in, tweak a couple of EQs and levels and pretty much done. This one I'm like, okay, here I'm going to put an EQ on this channel and here's why, you know, shit like that.
I think it's awesome. I already watched it. One, I learned a lot, believe it or not.
Good.
Like because I don't know shit about mixing. And it is getting deep with logic and some of the like finer details about what mixing even is something I want to try to learn. Like it's a long-term goal of mine. And I'm just starting to think like, oh, maybe while I'm off during Christmas break, I'll try to like really dive deep with Logic Drummer, for example, and just start to learn these single features that I use all the time, start to learn them a little more deeply. So I was like, I'll watch this. Great. And I was so like, I loved the demo. I was going for this like mid 2000s hard rock thing. Yeah. And I think it came out great. So anyway, patrons I think are going to be into this because it is instructional, right? It's educational to a degree because you're like, here's a quick trick for making your guitars seem wider than they are. And like, I was like, oh fuck. That's a really clever trick. And I've never done anything like that, but like, cool, good to know. And just sort of like how we do it, I think is fun to see. And a lot of people who listen, of course, make their own music. So this will be beneficial to folks. So anyway, new Patreon benefit. We'll send it out via Patreon. It is a private, unlisted YouTube link or whatever they call it. Yeah. But that will go out via Patreon. So check your emails and stuff. And if you're not getting notices from that, just like turn that back on.
And if this is cool, like I hopefully won't take as long each time but like kind of if this is something that I should keep doing, I'll just turn it on and maybe with a little less narration, do that. And I thought, I don't know, should I do this for the post-production on the podcast as well? Like I could just,
I don't know.
People might find that vaguely. That is also usually a pretty quick process, but I could, I'm sure I could make it longer by recording myself doing it.
So you have a podcast about doing a podcast?
Is this really stupid? I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. So that's as a Patreon exclusive, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so patrons, answer us. Is production of the podcast something you want to see? I think the mix process is definitely cool. Definitely like that. Yeah. That's a no-brainer. That's a slam dunk. But yeah, whatever.
Okay. Anyway, let's. I'm gonna play the demo.
Cool. Yes.
So there's a delay in there, right? But it only has
there's
one
a
repeat?
dotted no, it's a dotted quarter note repeat. on the lead part, and then there's like the ending is strummed with the rhythm, and they don't quite line up.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it sounds like a mistake, but I was like, oh, is it cool? I'm not sure. I'm just gonna leave it. So
yeah. No, really cool. Really cool.
The Riverside is a much heavier sounding pedal than I initially expected.
Okay.
Like it's tight. It has got the gain. Also, shout out to Brian from the Tone Jerks for the bass tone. Like that was a Helix bass tone that he made, and he like made a patch for guitar and for bass, and he was like, "Oh, check these out." So
yeah, that's a good tone. I like that.
It's a good tone.
Most of these are really good too. I found myself like I wondered, is this a good demo or is this not a good demo to do of the mixing, because I didn't do much. But on the other hand, like I'll just say, like I don't really do much most of the time. For one thing, they're pedal demos, so I'm supposed to be sort of like revealing what they sound like. I do want it to sound good, so like there's a little bit, but I don't do a lot of automation. Like if I'm really mixing a song, I'm automating things like individual drum hits and stuff like that. And I mean, I can't do that here, but I wouldn't anyway, because it's like that's a little beyond the scope,
right?
You know?
And the thing about the pedal demos is even when writing the piece for the pedal demo, it is written to show off the pedal, right? It's not necessarily something I would do. And maybe the pedal is set to a somewhat more extreme setting to really show off what it sounds like. That's not so much the case with drive stages. But anyway, yeah, I'm super into that video. I'll post it to Patreon tomorrow.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll get that going.
Super. All right. What the heck is next in this? Oh, so and look who turned up in chat. So
nice of you to drop by.
Nice
Eric.
of you to drop by. Let's pop one more sound in here to denote the change of topic. A topic from the audience. So let's see, which one do I play? Here's a screwed up one.
What the fuck is this? Is it a Pog?
No, that's the Organizer. Is that from Earthquaker or Walrus?
Earthquaker? Sounds like an I think it's an Earthquaker pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Organizer.
Yeah, it was like some kind of synth thing. Anyway, yeah, screw it, whatever. That was dumb.
So Eric's in the chat, just joining us right in time for his topic suggestion.
Yeah.
Which I copied and pasted verbatim from our chat, which says, he says, challenge people to view gear as something that matters so much less than how we operate with it. Okay. In the grand scheme, there's so much that doesn't ultimately matter. And as a new gear year resolution, that's very hard to say, take a step back and evaluate what you have already and how much something new won't actually matter, and there's no use in getting worked up in it.
Yeah.
So Eric and I have been talking a lot about this, like, just like what purpose gear is serving for us, and how you think about gear. And it's like, it's very easy, I think, as guitarists to fall into like, oh, if I get the Revv G2, like that'll be it.
Right. And so it's like self-reflection, right? Like is the next thing really where you're getting your thrill, or would you be happy with other stuff if you just saw it differently? Or is your thrill just from lowballing people? Is that where you get your kicks, you know?
When you get the email that's like, your offer has been accepted, it's like, oh my God.
What? I'll tell you what, if you're the kind of person, when you get the email that says your offer has been not accepted, do you get a tickle? You know what I mean? Like if that's your thing, then you're someone we want to talk to.
So no, I get because usually the one time it has not been accepted, it was received with a counter offer. So they send the counter offer, and I'm like, all right, let's play ball. You know, I get this little like,
let me roll up my sleeves here.
What do you want to do here, bud? And it's like $5 more. Fine, whatever.
You know what?
Anyway.
You got it. Anyway, no.
Right.
So I'm all over this. In fact, I was sort of thinking about this, and I think sort of muttering to myself a little bit when I was recording that video today of the mix. Like I pull up stock plugins, especially a stock EQ, regularly. I like repeatability. I have gotten a little bit used to my Waves plugins, but like I do try to. I try to go sort of as simple as I can get away with, for sort of the sake of like, well, years from now, maybe I've sort of forgotten about that esoteric plugin. I don't really use it. Maybe it's not even on my computer anymore or something. Like, what's going to happen if I go? I've sort of moved on to a new tool. So I think what I said in the mix was like, if there's one tool versus another tool, it was like a compressor I was talking about. It's the way that they're laid out and organized, and some of them have certain features. Like that compressor had a pre-filter. Now I can do that kind of thing with an EQ in front of the compressor in a sense, but this makes things quick and easy to sort of flip through and audition different things, and that sort of makes a difference, I think. Mm-hmm. But it's not like I have to have that compressor, or I can't make some other compressor kind of sound like that. It's a little bit more like, even just the visual layout of something. So the knob layout on a particular pedal or something like that could influence what you make out of that pedal, not because it sounds different. Like you could have, so I'm picturing.
Well, it influences how you interface with it and like how
and so you could make different sounds. Like if you had the brains of a Strymon pedal and you put it into a different enclosure with a different layout, and you didn't know they were, you know what I mean? If you don't know they're the same, does your sound come out the same?
Yeah, right. Good question. I think it's also like kind of, the spirit of the question is stemming from conversations about like the gear you already have as well.
Sure.
And kind of this like, like not discounting the stuff you have in order to like continue to chase like a new thing, right? To buy more gear and stuff. And like, yeah, I bought a few overdrives this year and I totally don't need them. And I know that, but like, it's the balance of like, well, I don't have anything that's kind of like a Rat. Yeah. Maybe I'll like, so, and then you can justify it as like, well, then I'll have my Rat tones covered if I got the 1981, or
well, hasn't JHS made hasn't JHS made their thing that's like 800 Rats? Isn't that?
That was
real,
after
right?
the 81 purchase. yeah. But like
800 Rats.
Okay. But like I think it's also just like the minutia, right? This last 5% of tone that we've talked about a few times. And like but do you need a Rat tone? What does need mean in this sense? And I think it's like what, sure, you maybe need a clean tone, you need a drive tone and a lead tone perhaps. And like, if you want to get maybe more specific, you get like fuzz tones and stuff that are more like character tones sometimes. Do you know what I mean? So like, does the type of overdrive actually matter? Or do you just need sometimes, a chunky or gains? Sometimes, right. But like, how do you as like the guitarist, right? We all know that like, if you buy this pedal, it doesn't make you a better musician. It doesn't give you better tone necessarily. These things influence tone, of course, but right? Do you know where I'm going with this? I'm having a hard time putting it together, I guess.
I'm trying to remember some of the discussion from Discord, because the phrase that stuck in my mind was about most of the time the difference between, as long as we're not talking about like some bargain basement thing that doesn't actually do the job, compared to something truly great, as long as we're like at least in the mid-level somewhere, the difference between one thing to another thing is much, much less than you're playing.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, so I think it was put much better, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording, but like, what's in your fingers matters more than what's outside of your fingers.
Yeah. And I think all musicians know that.
Yeah. The hierarchy.
Yeah. Right. Like, and we see this, right? When somebody like John Mayer picks up some crappy guitar and sounds like John Mayer, like, we're not surprised.
A chunk of wood.
Yeah.
Taps it. Caresses it.
So I've done this kind of thing. This interesting thing lately is because I'm not in a band. Like I don't need a pedal board that covers certain things. You know, I don't need. I So I always had a board that was like, this is my sound, right? These things together combine to make the Derek tone, and I was really into tweaking all that for a while. Still am, but now I'm just like throwing whatever the fuck on a board. And it's like, well, I need some kind of modulation stage. I need like a gain and a boost and whatever. Just like grab one of these and see how these work together. And it's so much less permanent. I think it's like the permanence feeling of it all. You know?
Yeah. So when you are in a band, does that give you a sense like I have to stick with this, because if I accidentally write a song or start writing a song when I have it set up this way and then discover I don't like this setup, I've got to like throw something out or reconfigure or change my expectations of what my board is, right? Because I've got to stick with this. Like I might accidentally permanentize something.
By way of recording?
Yeah, like, or...
Yeah, well, that happened. The overdrive I used on our record, I don't own anymore. And I didn't, I sold it not like maybe a year after we recorded.
Yeah.
But that was sort of I found some other overdrives that I was happier with, and I didn't care at the time that it didn't match the record.
Yeah.
Because again, like, does the audience care if it's a silicon or germanium diode in that fuzz pedal? Absolutely not, right? That kind of thing comes to mind
anyway, so like you could just have a page that's that song, and like
and I did. But so here's an interesting thing, though. I built a Helix preset for Delaney where every song was the same, right? They all had the same amps, cabs, and effects, and the only difference was
even though you had the ability for them all to be different, they weren't.
They weren't, because I think the thing about being in a band is the consistency, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted, like if Delaney was a band that had like a crunch tone and a lead tone, and that was it, I would want that to be the same always.
Yeah.
And even if it's just the idea of crunch and lead, do you know what I mean? Versus like a specific type of crunch or lead.
Okay. So what you're saying is you can have variation as long as the variation is just different types of crunch and different types of lead.
I guess. I mean, this is all Eric says in the chat, personal taste. It's true. Like it depends on how you think of your own rig and your own gear and how it like interfaces with your execution of playing guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. Because I know some people, right, who have one gain stage, but use a volume pedal.
Yeah.
And their rhythm tone is that volume pedal at 50%. And then they just make it louder for their lead tone,
right,
which pushes the amp and does other things.
I did that for the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's cool because you can hit in between stages. Although I real quickly just stopped hitting any. So here's my experience with that is I set that up, right? Volume pedal, and it's going to be, I'm going to have, this is clean, this is full on, and I have I can sweep. I never swept. Ever.
Yeah, so you had more like an unbooster situation.
Well, then I switched it. I just made I made a little pedal that was just a volume reducer so that I could click it on and off like a distortion, and all it was is a volume pedal that I was taking in and out of my signal.
Yeah.
Without having to actually toggle it. So
I'm going to talk about how this kind of came up with Eric and his pedal board.
Yeah.
Eric has a overdrive collection like many of us do. And he switched to using 3 boost pedals instead of like clipping stage
so
overdrives.
He's doing them individually. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. And so like this occurred and like made this thought of like, how the way that we use all this stuff doesn't really matter, right? It's just like, just use it. The permanence doesn't matter. The like initiative behind it doesn't matter, right? You can use it for whatever the hell you want and focus on your playing and your songwriting and that kind of thing. So I'm kind of like butchering Eric's original idea. He's typing furiously in the chat. It's kind of an interesting thought, I think. He says the sound of the boosts was incredible. And I mentioned like, well, you're doing this thing where you're taking what an overdrive does and compartmentalizing it out into 3 stages, you know?
Right. But
they work with an amp so much differently than an overdrive does.
Well, not necessarily. That stuff's happening within the. So typically, like if you have
but
a
like
pedal,
on an EP booster,
there's multiple things in it. You know.
That's what I mean. And you took those multiple things and broke them out into their own enclosures.
Yeah.
Into their own pedals.
But the thing is, like some of those are going to be EQ stages, or it's like. It's just a matter of, well, this one needs to have this sort of gain range, while the second one needs to sort of actually pull that back. And it's figuring out the interactions between them is what makes, these particular circuits that's this amp or this pedal, that's the sort of stuff that they've put in, and where are we filtering and stuff like that,
Yeah, I think to sort of like take this idea, take Eric's idea and define it. I don't want to say that, but like we as
you're
especially
in charge,
guitarists,
man. This is your goddamn show.
Especially like guitarists, because I have the most experience in this area. I think other musicians in like the rock music space do this all the time. I'm sure other hobbies and other areas do this in music, do this as well. We're putting gear on a pedestal big time, and we to be real about that, I think is kind of the whole point. Right? To maybe not knock it down a notch every now and then, and just be honest with yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a Klon for sale at Manchester Music Mill.
Get it. Right.
Everybody's talking about it.
Is that what I'm supposed to react to?
Everybody, it's $6,000. Okay?
And everybody's like digging under their mattresses.
Right. I just picture like some kid, like somebody grabbing a kid by their ankles and like shaking money out of them. So yeah,
why a kid, man? Why did you do that to a kid?
Like give me your lunch money, like that.
Okay, all right. It's a schoolyard bully.
Yes, for the Klon.
For the Klon, it's for the Klon.
So yeah, like the Klon or 59 Les Pauls or whatever, like all this gear that's up on a pedestal that everybody just like takes. Like it's just.
Yeah, what did I see on
understood as the greatest?
Something flew by on YouTube the other day that was like I got to play Jimi Hendrix, so many $1 million guitar.
Yeah, Paul Davids posted a video of it was Jimmy's actual guitar. It's $10 million.
Okay, I didn't watch it, so I'm not gonna like say stuff about the video, but that is part of that thing, right? Like
a little bit, yeah. I mean, that's got a celebrity component to it.
Yeah,
a person.
So does Klon. I mean, in a sense. I mean, the pedal, in a sense, is a celebrity at that point, right?
Right. I'm saying, but yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we were also sort of talking about making fun of the music that we like and stuff, and I think it's just take some perspective now and then, people.
Yeah.
Like just not everything is that important. We're just rascals, he says.
Yeah.
And like this is not to say like preferences don't matter, because they totally do. But it's just like really kind of boil down to like, I really like a 9.5-inch radius on my fingerboards, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to play a 12-inch radius, right? I'm not going to be like, well, the tone of a 12-inch radius is just not for me, right? Nobody says that.
I mean, certain things, I think this kind of, so circle back to one of the early things that we said is the layout, things that are actually sincerely different from one piece of gear to the next when they're more or less on the same level, can matter, because you could come up with something different if you're working on a Strymon versus an Eventide pedal, even if they can make similar sounds. You can get to them and manipulate them differently, and that's going to lead you. And that's a bit of restriction. I mean, maybe this will put a bow on it. Like, so Helix, right? Like something, and Helix and things like it, Fractal, that can contain everything, are almost they're like getting close to without restriction. And creative restriction is often a big part of the creative process. And so like having certain pedals, like Eric is going to create different tones now when he's got 3 boosters instead of this other thing, right? Because he can sort of shape them differently. He may create different things. And if somebody wants to record and they only have one mic, they might figure out a different way to do it. And if you want to make some guitar tone and you don't have, but if you, on the other hand, if you have a Helix, For one thing, maybe that's leading you to what's gear even for? Because I have a Helix now, although you're still buying gear, so obviously that's not there yet.
There's that, yeah. There's a whole part of that too. Like that's part of this conversation, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think it's just the whole thing about like step back and evaluate what you have already is important, because it's very easy to just like head down, keep looking. Oh, so and so released a new pedal. Oh my god, it looks so great. Oh my god, I want it. That's fine. Like we all feel that.
Yeah.
But it's
except
the reality
me, I'm invincible.
It's the reality of the whole thing. So I don't know. Yeah, man.
Rad. I think
so. You heard it here, folks. Eric is challenging you to view gear as something that matters so much less than it does.
So much less than you think it does, or so much less than it does.
Ooh. What's the difference, Justin?
Wait, this is it. This is the phrase I was trying to remember. It's right here in my fucking notes. Yeah, that's right. To view gear as something that matters so much less than how we operate with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, sorry, if I had realized that was right in front of my face, we don't even need to discuss anything. Like, that's it. Case closed. This is correct. Yeah. Fight me. Fight Eric, actually.
Come at me, bro. Come at Eric, bro.
Anyway, bring the discussion on back to Discord and join us. And
it's a little bit of a
can be it.
Yeah. It's weird. I understand the question and the problem. I cannot articulate it though.
So funny.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean though? You know, like what the conversation is.
Yeah.
So
okay, we've run over an hour again. We're gonna do some suggestions of the week. So I'm gonna play a sound. This one maybe you'll know.
Jesus, I don't know.
It's a reverb.
It is. Is it it's not the copper sound reverb, is it?
It sure is.
It is? This is an old one.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Copper
Dataless.
sound, Dataless.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Dual reverb.
Hell yeah. How many reverbs do you need?
Hell yeah.
Dual. At least.
Obviously two.
At least two. Always at least two.
I have been kind of fucking around with two reverbs in Helix lately. Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
Do you want to suggest first, or do you want me to suggest first?
I'll suggest first. My suggestion this week is a band's / upcoming album / single, I guess. It's like it's all together.
The world's digital now. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
It's fun fact: the band, single, and album are all from different groups. No, I'm kidding.
This is the start of the new segment. It's Derek's Quick Three.
Right. So the band Gang of Youths. I'm a big Gang of Youths fan, and I just recommend them across the board. Mm-hmm. I got tickets to see them in the spring. I'm so stoked. They're from Australia. They don't tour the US very often. And so I'm seeing them at the Paradise in Boston.
Sweet.
Very stoked. They have a new album coming out. I think it maybe isn't out until February, but their album is called Angel in Real Time. And I'm super excited for it. They have a single out now called The Man Himself. And it is on my playlist titled Songs I'm Obsessed With. And it's like, every now and then a song will hit me, and I will listen to it just on repeat 5, 6, 7, 8 times, which is not very common for me. It's very high on that list. I just listen to it over and over and over again because the chorus is just absolutely soaring, and it's got an amazing hook, and it's just like everything I want from Gang of Youths.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for the record. I'm so excited to see them. They're a record from, maybe it was 2019. I can't remember what year exactly. But their album called Go Farther in Lightness is on my top album list. Just love this band so much. And I think they're doing something that I don't hear in a lot of other music. And it's not, I can't even really say like, oh, it's for fans of so-and-so, or, it's hard to draw a connection sometimes.
I remember hearing a few big influences in that.
Yeah.
But I agree that like what it's become is pretty neat and kind of is complicated to explain. I agree.
They've really carved out their space.
Yeah.
So anyway, Angel in real time, particularly the song "The Man Himself," is just like constantly on a loop at my house. It's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Cool. Okay, so as I said, we're gonna circle back to the beginning because this is a new toy. So I recently I use Isotope RX for cleaning audio, and I use it on a ton of stuff. Like obviously a ton in like dialogue production because I'm cleaning background noise and stuff, but also in music production. They have a lot of tools that are made for that. They have a guitar dehum now that's focused more on guitar amps, and you can like it also like specifically sample amp hum and then do a better job of specifically cleaning that rather than just like the more generalized noise removal. And some of the de-bleed, being able to feed it like a click track coming out of headphones, like to be able to show it like, hey, well, here's what the click track sounded like, and it goes, oh yeah, I got that. So there's a lot of like machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is really machine learning built into this stuff. So one of they had an update, and I was a few versions behind, so I was like, okay, they gave me a deal on it. So one of the new features that I got access to is called Music Rebalance. Now, I think this has been around for a little while in the super advanced version, but it's come down to the version that I have now. So what this does, it's like an AI sort of spectral frequency analyzer, and they're analyzing different aspects of what makes up a sound and essentially assigning those aspects to different things. And what they're trying to tease out is vocals, guitar, bass. No, sorry, vocals. I think it's four. So I think it's vocals, bass, percussion, and everything else. Which sort of makes sense to me, right? So that you're able to tease out vocals because you sort of learn like what does a voice usually seem like spectrally, and bass we kind of know, like, because it has typically in a different frequency register and some things like that. We can tease that out. Percussion is more transient information, but we're also trying to acquire symbols and stuff out of that, and then everything else. And it's separating and allowing individual adjustment of those. So what we're going to come to this thing with is a mixed file, like stereo or mono, and it essentially gives you these four faders. And I've used it on two different things. One was a hip hop album that I mastered, and by the time we got to the end of it, the client actually wanted more vocal. And that was really tricky to get, especially because I was fighting a bit of sibilance. I felt it was too sibilant. So I was already like trying to EQ out the middle. I was trying to do some trickery. And then I got this thing in my pocket, and I thought, hold on, let me take another swing at this. And I literally just went into this thing and just gently said, give me 2 dBs on the vocal across the board and leave everything else alone. I said, print it. And it just spit out this new file, right? And to hear what it does, like you can open this thing up and set it to processing a file and essentially just solo one of the channels. Like, give me just the vocal. And what comes out is pretty much just vocal. And like the reverb and stuff that is attached to the vocal is also there. And it's doing it, it's not monoing it, right? It's doing the full stereo effect. Like if there's vocal on the sides, it's going to find those. And the percussion, it does a really good job. Now, if you solo any of these and play them back, there's some little artifacts and things like that. And there's a few little settings that you can tweak to try to get it a little bit better. But it's less made for that, for actually like pulling something out, although it's probably a more effective way of doing like a vocal delete than the other weird trickery where you sort of invert the stereo. You end up creating a mono file out of that. So this you could do effectively. So I did it on that Hip Hop Master, and it worked awesomely. And then I had this sort of mixing / mastering thing from a local band here. They had a live recording, and they had an audience pair and a stage stereo mix, like a board stereo mix. And that's what I had to work with. And I used Music Rebalance, and what I did, you can adjust the faders and then say, spit that out to me, or you can push this other balance that just says separate, and it will give you 4 files out of the one. And so that's what I did
Jesus.
with the audience pair and the bore pair. And I had it spit out 4, and then I lined them up in Pro Tools and with them all at 0, and I pushed play, and I couldn't tell the difference between the source file and the split into 4. And then I was like, okay, now let's make some adjustments. And I had to make sure to use phase linear EQs, which is like a technical thing, but EQs actually rotate the phase of certain frequencies. So if I started going in with a normal phase EQ, or like an analog EQ, for example, and started turning things, you would get weird shifts between those because those actually came from the same file. And so they need to stay totally phase coherent in order for the mix to work at all. So, but with phase linear EQ, I was able to make some EQ adjustments and level adjustments throughout and spit that out and get this awesome mix for them out of what was essentially a pre-mixed, baked-in thing. And so now I'm hyped. I'm all about it. So I get this thing from this client who is a 57 and 58 guitar and vocals with plenty of bleed.
From the top of the show.
Exactly. And in this case, I didn't do separate because I actually only wanted 2 stems. I wanted vocal and then everything else. And so I just did it kind of manually. I did one where I soloed the vocal track and said export. And then I did one where I muted the vocal track and did export. And then I recombined those. And I did them for both. I did it for the guitar mic and for the voice mic. And there's a little artifacting, which I have to sort of mask by bleeding in a little, reintroducing some of the bleed. But from that, I'm able to essentially apply a lot of reverb to the voice in a way that I really like, especially on the loud notes, and really let it bloom and automate that without that getting onto the guitar. EQ and compress the guitar totally differently from the voice in a way that should not be possible with that much bleed. It's totally magic. I mean, like I said, it's not gonna sound like you recorded the guitar without the voice there if I play it in solo. But if I play you back the track and I didn't tell you that I'd done that, you'd be like, wow. Like that's amazing. And that's why I was so bummed when she wasn't excited about it at first. Because I was
because you'd done this whole like magic thing.
And I don't tell her like I did magic to your
Yeah,
song.
let me tell you about this thing.
So when she was excited, I was like, okay, great. I mean, unless she asks, I'm still not going to explain like, and here's the magic I did. But like I explained it to Marielle, I explained it to my wife, like, you don't understand. Like the thing I did is literal black magic. It can't be done. I did an impossible thing now, and it sounds awesome. So so really excited.
That's amazing.
New thing that is hiding inside of Isotope RX restoration software. So,
well, you heard it here, folks.
Yeah. And I also tried it on. Somebody sent me this forensic thing that was one of these like, try to recover the voice in this terrible recording. It's like it's probably a surreptitious recording. And I was like, okay, let's instead of reducing the noise, let's try music rebalance, solo the voice. And it spit out, I mean, you still couldn't understand it because there was nothing there. It was not enough there to really work with. But what it spit out was pretty much just voice. Just like, But anyway, it's a wild
Eric
thing.
wants to know if it will find his wife's Christmas spirit.
Is your wife's Christmas spirit a voice?
Then yes.
If so, then I've got good news.
Yeah.
All right. So those are I when I started that story, I thought I was just going to talk about this recent thing, and then I realized I'd actually successfully used it 3 times now since I've got it the last couple of weeks. So
awesome.
Anyway, that's unless there's anything else, that's going to do it for us at the Tone Control. Let's see
this is our last regular episode of the year. The next episode is going to be a total joke. So if you're not familiar with the Tone Control, around the end of the year, we usually take a little break, and it's all the post-show stuff. So when we choose the episode title and stuff over the last year, it's going to be long. It's going to be funny. At least I think it's funny. It's funny for me. Maybe it's only funny for me. But and if you are a Patreon person who has hung out in the post-show, you're in that sucker.
Yeah,
so
guess what? You remember that
guess
agreement?
what?
Remember that agreement, or what am I saying?
The EULA or whatever.
The EULA you signed.
End user license agreement.
The point is
terms of service.
Terms of service. You signed away all your rights when you first of all, come and join us in Discord, discord.io/tone control. And then when you get here, just understand that if you become a patron and join us, you can join us for the live recording of the show. And if you talk after the show, I am recording you. To become a supporter of the show and a patron, go to patreon.com/thetonecontrol, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show, and we will thank you ever so graciously every single time. Okay.
We should.
Yeah. And if you want to double that up for if you want to, I'm going to start the music here. If you want to double that up for
you derailed him.
As little as $2 a month, you will be a supporter plus, which gets you a special role in Discord where you can join us for the secret super chats. All patrons are now going to get access to the other special bonus materials that we're coming up with, which is like Derek's explainer videos and my stuff about how I was doing the mix that's going to go on like tomorrow or something like that for the demo mix. The patrons today are Carson Ricketts, Nick Greenwood, Timmy S., Matthew Fenslaw, Ryzen Wolf, Jamie Evans, Jeffrey Wright, Doug King, Doug Gann, Righteous Ryan Johnson, Steve Huffman, Jonas Sabatini, Eric Tape Delay, Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove, OG friend of the show Brian Rizzi, Doug Christ of 37 Effects, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, and Brian Gower and Kyle McIntyre of the Tone Jerks podcast.
Thank you all. Thanks for a killer year.
Yeah.
Of podcasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a good one.
It's good. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
the music's over.
It's right. The music always goes in post. I don't know why I even do that. Okay. Anyway. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. See you next year.